So for my final project, I decided to research and study the business El Nopal LLC. So to start off, what is El Nopal LLC? El Nopal LLC is a convenience store company that offers the Hispanic community very known Latino products, also offers money services and offers check changing services. So the a little bit of history of what Nopal is. Nopal opened up in 2021. The main founder slash co-founder's name is Isabel Hernandez. Isabel Hernandez had always dreamed of being her own boss and where she always wanted to start a business. So in 2020, she saw the idea of opening up a convenience store because she saw the lack of where she lives um and where it is very predominantly Hispanic and there wasn't a nearby convenience store at a walking distance, so she saw a open space venue and where she contacted rented it out, and so the journey began. The El Nopal LLC is located in Kansas City, Kansas, in the metropolitan area, by Parallel Parkway. Um, Apart from it opening up in 2021, they did not start seeing profits until 2022, and where they started saving some of that profit to invest in opening up a few other buildings. So in 2023, in the summer of 2023, and Nopal 2 opened up, and as well as the Taquitos en Nopal, which is a restaurant extension of El Nopal, as well as a food truck. So 2023 was a very big year for them. Now, I want to make it very for the case study, I kind of want to highlight that while Nepal is its own company, I only did my case study on Nepal 2 convenience stores. So there is a little lack of difference when it comes to company culture because of it. So when we move into values, I talked to the third added owner called his name is Ever Hernandez and Nepal 2. So when it comes to like the company values, he stated that Nepal's company values is includes four main ones: integrity, honesty, respect, and responsibility, which relates both to the employees and to the customers. Where he finds value in employees being honest, acting with integrity, and then when it comes to respect and responsibility, respect he expects from both the customers to his employees and employees to his customers, as well as other stakeholders, which also include like vendors, treating each other with respect, co-workers also treating each other with respect, and when it comes to responsibility, he does expect that every one of his employees act with holds themselves accountable and kind of just is responsible in their job position. For the mission statement, in Nepal's company website, the mission statement states, "Our company brings the familiarity of beloved products to the metropolitan area of Kansas City to the Hispanic community. Our affordable prices and customer experience is what sets our company apart from bigger retailers." So that is just kind of a overview of El Nopal. Moving forward, I conducted two separate interviews in relation to a Nepal 2 store to gain further insight on the organizational behavior concepts, specifically in the individual aspect. So, for the first interview, the main key points that I took away from the female employee I interviewed is that there's not as much diversity when it comes to race for the employee staff, but there is gender diversity where El Nopal does have half and half girls and women and males working at the store. Values, she perceives the values of the company to be in customer service and performance and what she has taken from working there. Job satisfaction, she said that she is satisfied with her job. She likes what she does. She thinks she feels valued, which when it comes to motivation concepts, because she is heard and because there's a lot of team collaboration and she is trusted, she does feel loyal to the company. Now, for the second employee, It differs a little bit because I interviewed the owner of in Nepal too, so I kind of got more perspective on like the management side of in Nepal. For diversity, I asked if there was much diversity in employees slash customers. He did say that there is more diversity in customers, though 80% of who visit his store are still Hispanics. Where when asked if he would hire other races, he says he would, but he wouldn't see a benefit to it just because Hispanic culture tends to be a little bit different than other cultures. So when it comes to lack of language, lack of culture, lack of transparency, he doesn't think that there's going to be a benefit, rather a harm if he hires other races. But he does have he does have a lot of diversity in gender and as well as just who he hires within the Hispanic community, which means like Mexican, Salvadorians, Honduras. So there is a diversity in there. Values, he stated that the values of the company were integrity, honesty, respect, and responsibility, because again, it's more to that management side. Job satisfaction, he as a business owner says he's satisfied with what he does, as well as it kind of brought the topic of self-fulfillment because one of the things that keeps him motivated is that he is able to help out his community and having a nearby store, as well as having a very similar culture that they're used to back home, and where in Nepal is sectioned to be kind of familiar, be when you're there, you're kind of like are able to start a conversation, you know the person that you're talking to. It's a little bit more intimate than if you were to go to Walmart that is just there to kind of like check out. So that is kind of like what the culture and values of the individuals bring to Nepal. In conducting this case study, I found two types of leadership present in Nepal. While the first one that I found was owner to employee, and the second one I found was owner to owner. So when we look into the kind of graph that I presented here, is owner to owner, they have more of a democratic leadership where they all tend to voice their opinion and voice their thoughts, their process, their um kind of like what they think is the right move, and there is three. So if two of them agree and one of them doesn't, they will go with what the majority ruled, kind of making it more of a democratic rule on what they do. This can include if they should switch vendors, if they shouldn't. This can include like raising prices, what new products to add, things of the sort. So there is a democratic rule from owner to owner. But when we look into the owner to employee, there's more of transformational, where again I only studied closely in Nepal too, and where the owner ever seemed to have more attributes of transformational leader when it comes to his employees, mainly because he places having learning opportunities for his employees valuable. He places them at a higher level where he doesn't necessarily boss them but rather leads them, and where he will ask for their opinion, ask for constant feedback. So he is very open to learning what he could do better as a manager slash owner. And his employees seem fairly confident providing that feedback. When I interviewed them, they seemed to have like a very good relationship and how they talked, respectful interactions. So I did see all of that. So to what I study and to what I wrote, transformational leader is what I would classify ever in Nepal to be. So when it comes to everything that I analyzed in Nepal too, what should change going forward? One of the main things that I saw when we go back to the individual aspect is that there was very little there wasn't like a person that was like HR. There was no HR, and because of there is a lack of diversity in gender, which can lower the tensions of having interpersonal conflict when it comes to having different ideologies. Because most staff are Hispanic, there is lower chance of that. But I do believe that my recommendation would be to get someone that to be an HR person as well as an manager. From what I saw in the organizational structure of El Nopal is that it is the three owners and employees. There's no in between levels. So when it comes to employees voicing concerns, while ever it's a great transformational leader, I did not do a close analysis in the first Nopal or in the restaurant, so there could be very different dynamics when it comes to going into other buildings. So for my recommendation would be instilling or employing someone that can be that in between, that can voice the concerns of employees or future employees, so they don't feel like there can be retaliation between them and the owners. And so I just feel like that would be a very benefit going on forward to the future of Nepal, especially because they are opening up a in Nepal 3, so a second store. So having an HR person would be more beneficial to a bigger team. Operations manager would mainly be because ever while talking in the organizational structure does a lot of like the decision makings, does a lot of the financial paperwork, and so that puts stress on him, making him not necessarily very available to his store, which can also impact the performance of his employees that have trust in him, that hold him accountable. So definitely an operations manager that kind of controls every like vendors, delivery, things of the sort that ever does paperwork wise, can help alleviate his stress as well as employee stress in his store, and kind of have it and kind of make it so it's more connected. It's a more connected overall company. Yep. And so that was my final project.